Hello.
Hello. What was your favorite scene and your least favorite scene to shoot, and why?
Ever?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Specifically for the Claire and Jamie's.
Right. My favorites. Oh, it's so hard to pick. Maybe, and just because it was such a spontaneous thing that we found, and it really felt so heartbreaking and beautiful in the moment, but that goodbye at the Stones, where we kind of danced to the Stones, or he danced me to the Stones, that was really special. And I remember the crew being quite affected by that, and even Sam and I were it just felt so real. I don't know, it was really special. My least favorite, probably Stop, Help, He's Going Over. Because I'd done that bloody scene so many times for auditions. And then it was freezing, and there's horses involved. And, you've got a lump like Ewan who is supposed to pretend to be slumping, and you're like, stop, help, he's going over. Yeah, that was probably my least favourite by the time we got to it. Although it's also the one that got me the job, so.
Exactly.
Love hate.
Did he actually fall off the horse multiple times for that?
No, I think we just got him into slumping, and then I think it was probably somebody else did the falling. We couldn't break him at the beginning.
Yeah.
They always wait till the last week to do the really dodgy stuff, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, over here.
Hi.
Hi. So what are some of the literary works that have really empowered you over the years?
Ooh, good question. So as a child, I read a lot. And, growing up, I think there was a lot of Enid Blyton, Nancy Drew, all of those things. But the first book I remember really impacting me was Wuthering Heights, which I just loved, and I read quite early on, and then I ended up studying it in school, and so it's a book that, especially when you study something in school, you really do a deep dive into the language and the themes and all of those things, and it just opened up a way of understanding literature for me in a very new way. Other ones, well, when I was a teenager, I remember Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance being a big one. And also A Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, which is also amazing. And then, Joan Didion, when I discovered Joan Didion, that's the first time I think I've gone and went, I need to buy every single book she's ever written, and I need to read every single word multiple times. She just speaks to me in a way that, I don't know, she creates an atmosphere and a place that you just feel so moved and immersed by. And then, of course, this woman called Diana Gabaldon. But I think those are probably the ones that come to mind right now.
Okay, next over here.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My question is very similar. A question as a reader. When I found Diana's books ages ago, I found that one thing I love about them is how much they have taught me about how humans can interact while they are hating each other and loving each other and doing both very passionately. So I was just wondering if there's anything either from the Outlander books or any other books that have really taught you how to think or be differently.
Oh God, I think every time you pick up a book, it does that, right? I think when I was a kid, I grew up in a really, really small, not even a village. I grew up in a small community, and we were sort of blow-ins is the term, right? We weren't from there. We moved there when I was a kid. My dad was a police sergeant during a time when the people of the area didn't like police very much. It was during the 80s, and there was the Troubles of Northern Ireland. And as a family, we weren't exactly welcomed really into this community. And so as a kid, a lot of my escapism was through books. And I found so much solace in reading. And I remember our weekly trip to the library was my favorite thing. And we would go and, it would be a rush to see which books we could get. And I think, we were allowed to take out 2 or 3 and you'd have them read and then reread before you would go back the next week. But there was I've tried to remember, I tried to find it on our bookshelf when I was home one of the last times, but there was a book that I read when I was quite young, and it was about a young kid in Florida. And I remember just that thing of like another country and another world, and like that I think sparked in me the need to travel, because it just felt like things were different and sunnier and nicer in other places. But yeah, reading has it's just been like the best gift I think I've ever been given. I think anyone to love reading, to love reading books, not just Anyway.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, next over here.
Hello.
Hey, Caitriona. I'm Bobby. How are you?
Hi, Bobby. How's it going?
Oh, we're rocking right now. We're rocking right now. No, I have a question, and it's kind of odd because my daughter got the same. She got to ask Sam the same question in New Orleans, and you've answered it a little bit. You've been on the series 6.5 years. You've changed roles in the series. What do you do to keep the passion and the intensity up as Claire and Jamie? I mean, it's just like when I was watching some of the videos, I mean, it just literally brings you to tears, the passion that you guys have for one another. And I was just kind of curious, what do you guys do to keep that passion and intensity alive?
I mean, I don't know. It's the investment we have in these characters. I fight really hard for the scripts, or my scenes at least, to feel true to me. And I think Matt and probably a few of the writers will tell you I can be a pain in the ass sometimes. But if I don't believe it, and if it doesn't land honestly within me, then I can't go through the motions. I have to feel that passion. It's why I love acting. It's what makes me feel alive. And if I don't feel it, it's almost like it feels awful. Like sometimes if I'm made do a scene where I don't believe what's written on the page, it's like the worst day. Right. Because you just feel like you're not being truthful or something. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But the story that Diana has written, it just evokes these things. There's so much passion and so much life and so much love in her story that if you just believe in, and if I don't know, if you just read it and you learn it and it just you feel it in your body. I don't know, it's a weird thing. It's hard to explain what happens in acting, but yeah, I think it's essential, because if I didn't feel that and I was going to work and I was just saying lines, I would just quit, I think. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. And I think that's the thing that sometimes writers or directors who sometimes just are like, just say it. And you're like, I can't just say it. I have to feel it, And yeah, so that's kind of, sorry. I don't know.
Well, that's why you bring Claire to life so well, though, because you feel that passion that we're reading in the books, and it just comes through.
Oh,
excellent. Very good question. All right, next over here.
Hi, Caitriona. My name is Liz, and thank you very much for playing such a strong character of Claire. My husband and I actually named our daughter Claire because she's such a strong character. My question for you, since you're on book 6, is going back through seasons 1 through 4, if time and money wasn't an issue, what scene do you wish you got to film that you just weren't able to?
Oh, there's a couple. There's one from the book where Claire runs home from the hospital when Brianna's been injured. I think that was a sin that was left out. Because to me, I wanted to show how Claire was struggling at being a working mom, and how that wasn't very common at that time, and and it's still the pressures of being a working mom. Everyone feels. I'm reading a book at the moment, and I was reading it on the plane on the way here yesterday, and there's a line in it, and it was talking about this woman was sort of explaining how being a working mom meant she had 2 full-time jobs. And being a stay-at-home mom is hard because you've got a full-time job, but being a working dad, I know this is controversial, anyway, but that it still falls, even if you're a working mom, it still falls to the mother to do
everything.
I mean, you guys say it, not me.
Everything.
I don't want to get in trouble. And I see it with my sisters, and they've wonderful husbands who do so much and are very involved, but 90% of the stuff will be done by my sisters, and they both have really busy jobs as well, and it was just, I wanted to show that part of Claire's life. So yeah, I never got to. Anyway.
Great question. All right.
Hi, Caitriona. My
Hi.
name's Taylor. How are you?
Hi, Taylor.
So I know you touched a little bit on all of the roles that Claire has, especially this season where everybody is together. And one of my favorite things about Claire is the fact that she's a doctor and she's so strong in that role. I know you can't really give spoilers or anything, but is this role really going to emerge for her this season, and is it going to be a strong part of this season?
Oh, we got to do some fun stuff this season. Yeah, it's cool. It feels almost like, it feels like we got to include a lot of this season, a lot of that, and yeah. There's a couple of fun moments, let's just say that. I can't really say too much about what's coming up, but it was important to me because, actually in book 5, the stories are so spread out, and you have a lot of Roger's narrative, Bree's narrative, Jamie's narrative, Claire's narrative, and when you broke down Claire's story, there wasn't so much for her to do in season 5, and it was something that we talked with the writers at the very beginning, because it was like, okay, well, what am I going to be doing this season? And I'm glad that they got to find a lot of cool moments like that to be able to really allow Claire to invest again in that side of her life properly.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next over here.
Hi, my name's Elise. I have a question that's not very deep, but I'm just curious. Did you ever come across anything that you wanted to steal from a set?
Who says I haven't? Don't anyone say this to anybody. But there may be some ornaments from the Frank Claire apartment in my apartment. On Tobias's last day, or one of his last days, because he ended up having many last days, we each took a little memento, and I'm not going to say any more than that.
Great. Okay, next.
Hi, Caitriona. Welcome to Cleveland.
Thank you.
My question is in regards to Murtagh, who's played by the wonderful Duncan Lacroix.
Who's making noise backstage right now.
If we go back to the very first episode in season 1, he's actually the reason that Claire was saved.
He's my first Highlander.
Yes. And they've also, I know he's Jamie's godfather, but going through searching for Jamie on the road with him and through Paris, I feel like he definitely played a significant role in Claire's life. And now he's being hunted by basically, Jamie and the regulators are being hunted. How does Claire, do you think, process that? Somebody that was a friend to her as well.
Well, I think it's heartbreaking. I think we don't actually get to explore that much this season. You know, they really, there's so little time, you know, and to get everyone's story in, but they don't actually really focus on Claire's feelings about it, really. And it's you know, he is one of her closest confidants. You know, he knows that she's from the future. He knows about her travel. He knows about faith. He knows about, you know, everything. And they went on that weird journey together where they both had to do things that they'll never talk about again.
He almost seemed like a father.
Oh, that's very interesting, Cecily.
Get your ass on out here.
And now the level of discourse will descend into inanity.
It's the dashing
Murtagh!
Duncan Lacroix.
Oh,
Hello. Oh, it's time to bring
Should
out
we
somebody
get the whole
else.
gang out?
Woo! All right, I'm gonna stand up because, you know, I didn't get to stand up for Duncan. So, nice to meet you, Duncan.
hello, how are you? I don't know what we're doing. Coronavirus.
All right, and then here's ravishing Rick Rankin, who's running. Rick is running.
Hey! Hey!
Hello. What's going on?
You're gonna sit on the
Can you
water.
all fit?
That's all right.
Oh yeah.
I got it.
You got it. All right. So, like, are the audience questions all finished then? I take it. Yes. Okay.
Sorry, I talk too much.
All right. Yes, I was confused because I still saw people in line. So, all right. So it's time for Rick to give somebody the finger. Do we see birds in here somewhere that you're? Oh. So you guys are all seeing your friends out here that you've met so many times before, huh?
Yeah, I know them all.
Scan the
like,
faces.
Pretty much. Hey.
You still got the photos?
I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's kind of, all right, let's move on. All right, so I'm so happy to see you guys out here. How was your trip? You guys are all settled and you traveled well. Safe travels, you're here.
How many airports you been in the last
Yeah.
day, Richard?
I was, at several airports. I think I hit double figures yesterday. It was a long journey here. But it was fun, you know, I amused myself.
I'm sure.
Sounds wrong. I had lots of porn.
Don't
Okay.
want to know
that's
about
good.
that either.
So what does Rick do on a long plane ride then? What is your entertainment? Do you sleep or you read? What do you do?
I do a little bit of sleeping. I play a little Nintendo Switch.
Juggling.
A little reading. I juggle. A little. Yeah.
Write long epic poems.
Oh yeah, but they're only for you though.
Do you like put in a hair mask when you're on the plane?
Oh yeah, I have to protect my hair when I'm on the plane. Yeah. Got a little net and a special hat that keeps it conditioned.
Do you have your own recipe for like your hair mask, or you got any brands you recommend for shiny locks?
Yeah, just don't wash it, and then the more you kind of run your hands through it, the more oily it gets. And then it just gets a nice shine.
Okay.
Love it. All right, so let's talk Outlander for a minute. All right, so I had asked Caitriona a question about what does Outlander mean to her. The story of Outlander.
What did you say?
You guys were paying attention to what she was saying when you were back there?
Oh, of course,
Yeah, absolutely. We've been there the whole time,
Yeah.
listening attentively.
We were discussing it actually.
Okay, yes. So who wants to go first, Duncan or
Duncan.
Rick?
Yeah, Duncan. What does Outlander mean to you?
What does Outlander mean to me? Well, God, I mean, it was like, for me personally, it was a complete life-changing experience. I've been acting away in theatre for like 14, 15 years in Ireland and England, and I was about to give up. It's tough business, folks. And then whacked off an audition for this, and had to move to Scotland, lock, stock and smoking barrel the next week. yeah, it's just been an amazing experience. I don't think we knew really in the first season how huge it was going to be, so, or even if we were going to get renewed for a second season for a while there. So yeah, it's just been a roller coaster ever since. And any other cliche I can think of.
Over the moon?
Yeah. Oh,
I agree.
I concur.
Basically everything Duncan just said applies.
Same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It is obviously a very life-changing experience. We've been on, well, I mean, I've been on the show for, what, 4 years or so now, and these guys have been on for, what is it, 6 or 7
6.5.
years? 6,000. Long time, so it's a huge commitment, but I love these guys, I love being on the show, you know, I have a great time doing it, and it takes up...
We heart you back.
I had such an amazing time on season 5, and you know, getting to hang out and getting to know more of the cast. Obviously, I love hanging out. Yeah, wait, what? Yeah, so I mean, it's a big commitment, and it's a real test as an actor because you have to stay focused for that length of time. It's quite easy to get complacent. And yeah, you just have to keep your concentration. You know, it's a real challenge as an actor
God,
as
I
well.
felt like I was in a scene with you there for a second.
That's my acting. I was acting. Yeah, no, I'm very grateful to be part of it. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
It's a real roller coaster ride.
It is a roller
and
coaster
it's
ride.
changed my life.
Yes.
It's strengthened me as a person.
Yes.
I feel like I'm stronger.
And all of the good cliches. Just
All
of
those
them.
cliches, yeah.
Yes. All right, something that's maybe a little cliche. I'm not sure over in the UK if you guys do this, but a lot of high schools will do like a senior superlatives where like all the classmates vote for like who's the best dressed and so forth like that. So one thing that I kind of have I have a list of some Outlander cast superlatives. So is this going to be kind of a quick thing? I am going to throw out a, you know, like, who's the wannabe director? And you guys are just going to, the first person that comes to your mind, just go ahead and say who it is. So Caitriona, or whoever wants to shout it out. So
Was that a question or was it an example
that
of
was
a
the
question?
question. That is one of them. So yeah, who's the wannabe director that's on the Outlander cast? Who just wants to take over all the time?
I think
All of us.
Caitriona really wants to direct.
Basically, Caitriona. She should be directing, I think.
I absolutely agree.
But I think, I mean, you've experience in theatre directing, right?
Yeah, it's a whole different kind of kettle of fish, though. I mean, you learn so much being on the set for this length of time, I think, about how it works. You know, more so than you would do, I think, if you just went in and out doing smaller projects or movies. When you're on set, like, 10 months of the year, every year, you get to get a better grip of understanding the machinations of what's going on, how American shows kind of differ from UK shows in terms of the power distribution between producers and directors, and yeah, it's a tough one, but you know, I think you know, I think I'd be good with actors, but then juggling the whole technical side would be too much for me. But
Okay, thank you.
I'll be your DOP anyway.
yeah, baby,
Duncan.
the dream team.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is who's the person who's always on time?
Not Sam.
Rarely late.
Sophie?
Sophie and Sam are really bad.
Are there? Is she bad?
Yeah. Sam's the worst.
Sam is the worst. He's always late.
Okay, so the question is who's always late then? Okay, so the next one is who's the biggest clown? Who's the biggest prankster on cast? Rick, I hear people saying
We
Rick.
don't really prank, do we?
No.
No?
We rarely have the time.
I think you get pretty short shrift if you start.
I think you'd get in
pranks.
trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really funny, like when people imagine that people are always doing pranks and stuff on each other, and you hear about other sets or actors being like, yeah, he always throws pranks. Imagine how pissed off the crew would be if like they're ready to go and they've spent like a while getting everything set up, and then we walk in and just like, woo. I'm sorry, I've cut the pants out of your trousers. And you don't know.
We're expecting that
Standing in
whoopee
the
cushion.
rain and the mud, even mud, and you're like, yeah, I've just pulled the plug out of your camera. Haha.
All right, the next
Although I
one.
am guilty of pulling some weird faces to try and put Sam off sometimes when it's his coverage.
But
That's
he's
quite-
so
yeah.
good. He never breaks.
Never breaks.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, he can be across the table and I'll be going.
And he's able to just keep a straight face no matter what, whereas I just...
A tiny hint of hue and humour flashes from me.
All right, the next one is who's got the best bromance going? Who are the two that are just like the best of friends?
I still haven't
You
been
and
able.
Graham.
I still haven't been able to get rid of Graham McTavish, even though he died in the show like several years ago, unfortunately. And I was even disappointed. I went up to my booth where I'm going to be signing autographs, and there's a giant cutout of Graham McTavish there for no apparent reason.
You can't get away from him.
There you go. Even his 2D image follows me around the planet.
It's very special, though.
It is, yeah.
All right, so who's everybody's best friend?
We're all everybody.
Everybody.
everyone's-
Okay. All right. Not one person in particular who's like the most friendly person on
You
cast.
say who's the most popular?
Who's the most? Okay. Who's the most popular?
Rolo.
We all
No, Rolo definitely isn't.
No. Okay. Can't think of anything. We'll go to the next one then. All right. So who's the biggest flirt?
Sam.
Oh, yeah. So,
All right. That was a unanimous one. Who's the most laid back? Easygoing. Rolo.
Richard. You're pretty easygoing, laid back.
yeah, I'd like to think
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not too uptight on set.
Rich is Mr.
But then I
Cool.
don't think anyone's particularly like running around. Okay.
I think sometimes I could be a little bit wound up.
Every now and again.
Okay. All right, so you guys drink a lot of coffee on set, I'm sure you do, but who drinks the most and needs to attend Coffee Anonymous?
What?
Well, he's no longer on the show, but Graham
Yeah,
McTavish.
yet again.
For sure.
Okay, big coffee drinker.
Yeah, he
All
would
right.
sulk without a latte, basically.
Do an impression.
Oh no, he'd be like, all right, Saturday. Oh, can I have my latte, please?
All right, next one is who's the biggest party animal? You know, you guys sometimes hang out afterwards. Who's the one who always says, hey, let's go out after this?
I've slowed down a bit. Otherwise, I'd be dead. But yeah, the first couple of seasons, I had a good time in Glasgow.
I mean, I think we all enjoy a beverage now and then. Yes.
You know, Sophie seems to have increased in like her
She-
social
yes.
activity has just gone through the roof. She's
She used to
always
be
got
very,
something.
like, she used to go home early
Yeah,
and be very
do her
good.
lines, work on her scenes.
And now it's like, what time did you get home?
Well, thank you. That was fun. All right, so now we're getting ready to have some more fun.
We didn't do Miss Congeniality. No, I'm joking.
Who's Miss Congeniality then?
Lauren. Let's say Lauren.
Oh, yes. You're right. That's an add-in category. Definitely, I agree.
Most likely to succeed.
Ah.
Sorry.
We're all doomed.
All right, so, you know, the real reason why we had, you know, you two come up here is because we're having some Outlander trivia. It's going to be you guys versus the audience.
Ooh.
Easy. Easy.
It's on.
I study Outlander.
Okay, so is our guest? Yes.
Bring it.
All right. So we have somebody here to host the trivia, and it is Sam Levine. You may know him from Freaks and Geeks and Glorious Bastards. So I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much. A hand for Maria, please. Woo! All this fantastic moderating. Well, hello, you attractive people. My goodness. This is so exciting for me. You guys, we're going to do some Outlander trivia, which I know is very exciting, and all of you are going to put me to shame, but I'm not playing. You get to play against these three wonderful people.
The pros.
So here's what we're going to figure out who's going to come up here and play some Outlander trivia. If you check under your seats,
should be
There's a Sam Hewitt for everyone.
VIP only. If you've got something special under there, oh boy.
There's totally.
You know, it didn't go this well for Oprah. We got one!
We got one.
All right, please make your way